So, you guys, it's Cree from Vibing with Cree, and we are here at iHeartRadio 100.1 The Beat. So, Pride is on the way. Yes. So, would love to tell us your name and your involvement with Pride.
Sure. My name is Gunnels. I'm the president of South Carolina Pride.
Okay.
And my name is Joshua Butler. I'm vice president of marketing for Pride.
Okay, so I know y'all are excited.
Yes.
So what are y'all most excited about?
I would say the work is always exciting. It's always a little bit stressful, but there's always a moment in any case of the festivals or any of the events that we put on where it's like the moment to realizing how much it's worth it. You know, like being able to sit back and see people's smiling faces, being able to see, you know, someone who doesn't really have the opportunity to be involved in such an open and diverse culture, you know, albeit they're from rural areas, to be able to come in and, you know, to see that light in their eyes where they actually feel like they're safe. That's like, so I would say that's a big moment for me.
Okay,
Yeah.
what about you?
I mean, similar. I'm excited for that moment. Pride was really my first moment where I personally came and realized that there were 80,000 other people that were like me, and it was okay, and this was a safe space, and this was somewhere that I could not only identify with the people around me, but also begin to say, okay, it's fair to discover more about myself, and it's fair to understand more about myself now that I know, quote, you know, it's okay. When you recognize that you're backed up by a community of people, and that's why it's so important that Pride exists. That's why it's so important that the community is recognized. When you recognize that you have that community around you, that support, that safety net, it emboldens you to be more courageous in discovering who you are and then being who you are publicly, because you know that even in the face of discrimination and the things that are happening in the community, that you've got your community to go back to. So it's big, and so yeah, that opportunity to see people just embrace and connect and find resources and find each other, and that's really exciting. I think the second thing is that we're all fairly new on the board, especially in these I guess bigger positions that take on more responsibility and actually making the festival happen.
Wow.
So I think proving to ourselves that we can do it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love it. So have you had your humbling experience yet? Like, wow, I thought I was getting into this role, it was going to be this, but now I'm like, wow, this is more than I expected.
It's a weekly checklist, you know. It's like once a week I'll get humbled, which is nice. I've got a big head of arrogance, so that helps me out with
Balance, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every year there's some sort of something that humbles you just in the nature of doing a festival this size and doing the things that you're trying to accomplish. You know, it's like last year it was the stage.
Yeah.
It was, where's the stage going to come from? Even some of the entertainment last year was down to the last minute, where people canceled or rebooked or things. So there's always, in this type of work, if you will, something that humbles you. But I think this year has just been, again, that realization of like, it takes every single person on the board coming together when you're thrown into these positions, and again, you know that if not for us, if you look in the mirror and you're like, if not for me and the folks on the team, the festival doesn't happen.
Wow.
I think that in and of itself is humbling, because it's like when you're the person going, you just get used to it happening. And I don't say it for a pat on the back, because we're all here because we want to be here, but it is that humbling realization of like, wow, this is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Wow. Something y'all said earlier about just feeling safe, I think it's so huge what y'all are doing. Because for one, it's revolutionary in itself that 80,000 people come out, and this is South Carolina, one of the most ridiculous states when it comes to personal freedom and liberation. So how does that feel to be like that safe space, and how are you maintaining your sense of positivity, because I know there has to be a lot of opposition?
I mean, I would say, people always think it's like butterflies, rainbows, but I mean, it's a lot of rainbows, don't get me wrong. But I guess
And glitter.
Yeah, and I don't have to glitter on me for weeks, but I guess like the biggest thing is like, my goal is to prove everybody, all the naysayers when I was growing up, wrong. I mean, at the end of the day, like, South Carolina can be and will be just as accepting as, you know, like New York and things like that, but it takes people who aren't afraid to really have their voice heard and to really, like, stand up against the, I would say, social injustice of, you know, believing that families have to be this one type of way, whereas, you know, in my eyes, families are, you know, there's a multitude of different kinds of families, you know, coming from someone who, you know, grew up like in like 2 single parent households between the two. You know, I see a lot of people who, you know, grow up in different types of families. You know, a couple of our board members, they are trans and have kids as well, and to show that their families matter just as much as someone else's families that are like heteronormative.
Yes, I love that. You have anything?
I forgot the question. It's wrapped up in his answer.
I remember. So basically, how do you maintain your positivity in the face of opposition? 'Cause I'm sure y'all experienced a lot of opposition creating something so huge.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, and I say this often when people ask, is like, when you get to the place where you feel personally safe and personally courageous enough, be out and as proud as you can be.
Yeah.
And obviously when I say that, that comes with the asterisk of, are you safe in the environment that you're in? And living in a state like this, it's not a dramatic plea. It's not something that's, you know, should be taken lightly, that your safety literally matters. So doing it with a good conscience and understanding of and awareness of your surroundings. But ultimately, I think where I am finally in life is like, you can't tell me otherwise, you know, and especially being a queer Christian, a person of faith, I think that doubles down in the sense of, like, especially in a state like South Carolina, where it's like, not only are people telling me that from a church or religious or faith perspective, but they're also trying to put it into the legislation. And it's like, no, you no longer get to tell me what I get to believe. You no longer get to tell me where I get to be, how I get to live in my community, and you definitely don't get to say whether or not I exist. And so the more of us that have the courage, I don't want to say courageous, because there's different types of courage in your situation, but have the ability to speak out and be vocal and be out and be proud. Something like Pride gives you an opportunity to come around 80,000 other people, and there's force in numbers. And so to be reassured, to be recommitted to this idea that, you know, we are safe and we can be out and proud, because the more loud that we are, it really is a vocal minority that's causing the ruckus, if you will, in the state. So the louder we can be, the prouder we can be, I think the better off we are.
Wow. Whew. Chills. 80,000 strong. So, and you mentioned politics, and I kind of hate politics, but it does impact our life as far as legislation goes. So, what is Pride's involvement when it comes to legislation right now? Like, are there any protests or any rallying, or, you know, what are some things you guys are doing?
So from a marketing standpoint, I mean, our biggest thing is like making people aware of what's going on. It's all about education and being able to point you in the right directions on where you guys need to, like, you know, speak your truth to your local legislation, being able to get all the information on future bills that are getting passed, being able to, like, read through everything. And basically, Pride's biggest involvement is educating not only the community, but also, you know, allies in the community and everybody in the community. Like, hey, like, I understand, like, for instance, I think what's one big hot topic is that the drag bill that was, like, kind of played around with in our legislation. Like, a lot of people see that as like, oh, like, you shouldn't do that for kids. Like, you know, that's great, but at the end of the day, it's your choice. You don't have to bring your kids to Pride, but you're not going to take a choice away from somebody else.
Right.
You know, and I think that's where it comes down to is the lack of choice and being able to show that and to educate people and to do it in a way that's compassionate, and that's how you really win people over and understanding, like, your perceptions. Like, hey, I get that. It's just all about really, you know, you have your choices, I have my choices, but being able to live harmoniously together. I think that's what the biggest impact that Pride can do, is that, you know, a rainbow covers everybody that's underneath it. It's not just gay people, it's not just trans people, it's not just community, it's everybody.
Yeah, I mean, as an organization, obviously we're a 501c3, so we're careful about what we do and how we interact in the political world. But a 501c3 is fully able to educate and advocate. And so, like Josh said, a lot of education around what bills are out there, what things are coming down from a federal level and a state level. Trying to interweave that into the festivals and the parties and the events, and so it is more palatable, if you will, to people in the community's understanding of how the legislation affects their life. So trying to be really creative in the ways that we educate folks and just give people opportunities to get engaged and get involved. And certainly when protests and advocacy things happen, we're a part of that, or at least we're there to support. But then we also are, we really try to push people towards organizations like SC United for Equality, folks who are, South Carolina ACLU, folks who have the advocacy and lobbying power, and just really getting behind their efforts and contacting legislators and just trying to be involved in the process.
Yeah, well, I think it's a brilliant way to do it. We have so many people coming out. Why not? This community is that's how everything goes.
Yes.
You have to have that big circle of people who are saying, "Hey, we're here for this one cause. Let's take it a step further."
For sure.
So I love that. I love what you guys are doing. So, tell us some of the dates coming up.
That's marketing, guys.
Marketing. See how good your memory is.
Yeah, so this September 21st, we have our President's Ball. It's a black tie event. You can find all this at scpride.org/ball. Just BALL. You can also just go to scpride.org. It's right smack dab in the middle of the homepage. It's from 6 to 10 at Stone River, down in off of downtown area, like West Columbia, Casey kind of area. We've got people from RuPaul going to be there. We also have our Outfest contestants that have won Miss Outfest, Mr. Outfest, and for the first year MX Outfest, which is a non-binary crown that we've also given out because we understand that there's a fluidity within gender, and we want to be able to give that option to our community to be able to have some type of representation, especially for the people who are growing up younger and experiencing that for someone for them to look up to as well. After that, we are going to be going into high gear for our Pride season, which our actual festival, I believe, is, it's October 21st? First. 21st. I was thinking, it's a Friday, so the parade's the 21st, and then Parade's 20th.
Festival's 21st.
I'm dyslexic. I do apologize.
I love it. We're inclusive here.
So, it's Friday the 20th. We have our Get Lit parade, and then after that, the festival's on the 21st. But we do have a large amount of activities that are leading up to Pride. Those will be announced on the website as well, so just keep an eye out for them once the finalization comes out.
Awesome. I'm excited. Well, you should be really proud of yourselves. Hey,
Pat.
Pat from the Yeah. All right, Andrew, you want to dance?
No, I can't dance.
No.
No. You saw me at the beginning, I was like...
These look like dance shoes. I could do a 1-2 step and maybe turn around like a...